Good day, everyone. My name is Jo Marie Uy. I am the third reporter of our group on the Chapter 10 Sinking Fund. So, my topic for today is about Sinking Fund Schedule. The Sinking Fund Schedule is a table that reflects such information on the sinking fund created to discharge a loan that will mature in future date as follows. A is the amount of periodic deposits, B the interest earned on the fund, C the accumulated balance of the fund, and lastly D increase in the fund. Illustrative problem 10.9. Joven created a sinking fund to raise 300,000 pesos in 3 years by depositing equal amounts regularly at the end of every 3 months. The fund earns 8% compounded quarterly. The amount of regular periodic deposit will be 22,368 pesos as determined in illustrative problem 10.1. So in this illustrative problem 10.1, we will acquire the annuity or the periodic payment A. So first, we have the problem. Find the periodic deposits to be made at the end of every 3 months for 3 years to accumulate 300,000 pesos if money is worth 8% compounded quarterly. So here are the given values. Compound amount or the future value of an annuity C is equals to 300,000 pesos. Total compounding periods or N is equals to 12. Periodic interest or I is equals to 2%. And the annuity or the periodic payments, which is what we're going to acquire. Solving for the periodic deposit at the end of every 3 months to accumulate 300,000 pesos at the end of 3 years. So here we have the formula to acquire the annuity or the periodic payment A. So A is the annuity, which is equals to C or the compound amount or future value of annuity C multiplied by I, which is the periodic interest rate, over the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest rate I raised to the power of n, which is the total compounding periods, minus the quantity 1. So by substituting these values in the formula, we will get the value of the annuity or periodic payment A, which is 22,368 pesos. This will be the amount that Joven needs to deposit periodically in order to accumulate 300,000 pesos. Here we have the sinking fund schedule. First is the column 1. This represents the number of periodic deposits to be made. These are 12 quarterly periodic deposits. Next is we have the column 2. This represents the periodic deposits to be made at the end of every quarter. There will be 12 regular deposits of 22,368 pesos each at the end of every quarter to raise the desired amount of 300,000 pesos. In column 3, this is the interest earned every periodic deposit interval. The first deposit does not earn an interest since the periodic deposit is made at the end of the period. On the second deposit period, the interest of 447 pesos and 36 centavos is computed as 22,368 pesos multiplied by the interest rate or the periodic interest rate of 8% and multiplied by the compounding period, which is 3 over 12. On the third deposit period, the interest of 903 pesos and 67 centavos is computed as 45,183 pesos and 36 centavos multiplied by the periodic interest rate of 3% and multiplied by the compounding period, which is 3 over 12, and so on. In column 4, the amount on this column is equal to the sum of the following: the periodic deposit, interest earned, and previous fund balance. Thus, on the second deposit period, the fund balance of 183 pesos and 36 centavos is equal to the sum of 22,368 pesos periodic deposit, 447 pesos and 36 centavos interest earned, plus the previous fund balance of 22,368 pesos. On the third deposit period, the fund balance of 68,455 pesos and 3 centavos is equal to the sum of 22,368 pesos periodic deposit and 903 pesos and 67 centavos interest earned, and the 45,183.36 pesos previous fund balance, and so on. The balance of this column at the end of 3 years, that is after making 12 equal regular deposits, is equal to the required amount. Next is we have the column 5. This is equal to the difference between the current fund balance and the immediate preceding balance. Hence, on the second deposit period, the increase in the fund of 22,815 pesos and 36 centavos is equal to the difference between 45,183 pesos and 36 centavos and 22,368 pesos. On the third deposit period, the fund increases of 23,271 pesos and 68 centavos is equal to the difference between 68,455 pesos and 3 centavos and the previous fund balance of 45,183 pesos and 36 centavos. Lastly is the column 6. This is the amount still needed to accumulate the desired fund. It is the difference between the desired amount or the obligation to settle and the balance in the fund, or the difference between the previous book value of debt and the increase in the fund. Thus, on the second deposit period, the 254,816 pesos and 64 centavos is the difference between 300,000 and the 45,183 pesos and 36 centavos, or the difference between 277,632 pesos and 22,815 pesos and 36 centavos, and so on. Illustrative problem 10.3. Joven created a sinking fund to raise 300,000 in 3 years by depositing equal amounts regularly at the end of every 3 months. The fund earns 8% compounded quarterly. So to determine the amount of the fund after the 8 periodic deposit or after 2 years, the given values are: first, the periodic deposit A, which is equals to 22,368 pesos. Periodic interest I, which is the 0.02. Next is the number of periodic deposits made, or R, which is equals to 8. And what we're going to find or acquire, the amount of the fund after the 8 deposits, C. So given the formula, C, which is the amount of fund after the 8 deposit, which is equals to the periodic deposit multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest raised to the power of compounding period minus the quantity 1 over the periodic interest. So by substituting these values, we'll get the amount of the fund after the 8 deposit of 191,983 pesos and 85 centavos. The above computation means that the balance of the fund, that is the total amount of periodic deposits of 22,368 pesos and all the accumulated interest for 2 years, is 191,983 pesos and 85 centavos after making the 8th periodic deposit. Illustrative problem 10.5. Joven deposits regularly at the end of every quarter to raise 300,000 pesos funds in 3 years. So find the fund increase on the fifth deposit if money is worth 8% compounded quarterly. To solve for the increase in the fund on the fifth regular deposit, the given values are given, which is the periodic deposit A, which is equals to 22,368 pesos, periodic interest I, which is equals to 0.02, number of periodic deposits made, which is the R, is equals to 5, and the increase of fund after the fifth deposit. So that is what we're going to find. Applying the formula, the increase in the fund is compounded as follow. So given the formula, the increase of fund after the fifth deposit IN is equals to the periodic deposit A multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest multiplied by quantity 1 minus 1 plus the periodic interest raised to the power of negative 1 over the periodic interest. So by substituting these values, we'll get the value of the increased fund after the fifth deposit, which is the 24,211 pesos and 84 centavos. So this means the increase in the fund after making the fifth regular payment is 24,211 pesos and 84 centavos. Illustrative problem 10.7. Joven deposits regularly at the end of every quarter to raise 300,000 pesos fund in 3 years. Find the interest to be earned on the ninth deposit if the money is worth 8% compounded quarterly. The given values are as follows. Periodic deposit A, which is equal to 22,368 pesos. Periodic interest I, which is equals to 0.02. Number of periodic deposits made R, which is equals to 9. So what we're going to find is the interest earned on the ninth deposit, IR. Substituting the given values to the formula, the interest earned on the ninth periodic deposit is computed as follows. So by substituting the value, we'll get the value of the interest earned on the ninth deposit of 3,839 pesos and 67 centavos. So that is the value we're going to earn or the interest earned on the ninth deposit. Data shown in the sinking fund schedule. The sinking fund schedule shows the following information. So first is the amount of periodic deposits to be made regularly. Second is the fund balance after a particular periodic deposit interval. Third is the increase in the fund balance after a certain periodic deposit. And lastly, the fourth one is the interest earned on a certain periodic deposit. Illustrative problem 10.10. Jocelyn created a sinking fund by depositing equal amounts at the beginning of every 6 months to accumulate 600,000 in 5 years. The fund earns 9% compounded semi-annually. Prepare the sinking fund schedule. So the amount of periodic deposit will be 46,725 pesos as computed in the illustrative problem 10.2, which is shown in the next slide. Illustrative problem 10.2. Find the amount to be deposited at the beginning of every 6 months for 5 years to accumulate 600,000 pesos if money is worth 9% compounded semi-annually. The given values are, first is the compound amount or future value of annuity, C, which is equal to 600,000, the total compounding period, which is N, which is equals to 10, periodic interest rate, I, which is equals to 4.5%, and what we're going to find or what we're going to acquire, which is the annuity or the periodic payment A. So to solve for the monthly regular deposit to be made at the beginning of every 6 months, we have here the formula, which is the annuity or the periodic payment A, which is equal to the compound amount or future value of an annuity C multiplied by the periodic interest I over quantity 1 plus periodic interest I raised to the power of n, which is the total compounding period, minus the quantity 1 over I, which is the periodic interest, multiplied by quantity 1 plus the periodic interest I raised to the power of negative 1. So by substituting each values in its corresponding uh, places, we'll get the value of 46,725 pesos as the annuity or the periodic payment A. So using the second formula, the periodic payment is computed as follows. So we have here the other formula that we can also use in solving for the annuity or the periodic payment A. So A, which is the annuity or the periodic payment, is equals to the compound amount or the future value of an annuity C multiplied by the interest periodic interest rate I over the quantity 1 divided by the quantity 1 plus the interest periodic interest rate raised to the power of n, which is the compounding period, subtracted by the quantity 1 multiplied by 1 plus the periodic interest. So by substituting its value, we will also get the value of 46,725 pesos, which is the value for the periodic payment A or the annuity. Illustrative problem 10.4. Jocelyn is depositing at the beginning of every 6 months to accumulate 600,000 pesos in 5 years. If money is worth 9% compounded semi-annually, find the balance of the fund after the 6 regular deposit. So to determine the balance of the fund after the 6 regular deposit, the given values are as follows. Periodic deposit A, which is equals to the 46,725 pesos. Periodic interest I, which is equals to 4.5%. Number of periodic deposits made or R, which is equals to 6. And what we're going to find, which is the increase of the fund after the 6 deposit CR. So the C is what we're going to find. So the value of C is equals to the periodic deposit A multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest raised to the power of R, which is the number of periodic deposits made, minus the quantity 1 over the periodic interest. So by substituting each value, we'll get the value of the increased fund after the 6 deposit, which is 32 327,969 pesos and 88 centavos. So this means that after making the sixth semi-annual deposit or after 3 years, the fund has an accumulated balance of 327,969 pesos and 88 centavos. So likewise, the information also implies that after 6 regular periodic deposit, there is still a need to raise of 272,030 pesos and 12 centavos for the remaining period to accumulate 600,000 pesos in 5 years. Illustrative problem 10.6. Jocelyn created a fund to accumulate 600,000 pesos in 5 years. So by depositing equal amounts regularly at the beginning of every 6 months, find the increase in the fund on the 7th deposit if money is worth 9% compounded semi-annually. In order for us to determine the balance of the fund after the 6 regular deposit, the given values are as follows. First is the periodic deposit A, which is equals to 46,725 pesos. Periodic interest I, which is equals to 4.5%. Number of periodic deposits made R, which is equals to 7. And the increase of fund after the 7th deposit or IN. So IN, which is the increased fund after 7th deposit, is equals to the periodic deposit A multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest raised to the power of R, or periodic deposits made, multiplied by the quantity 1 minus the quantity 1 plus the interest raised to the power of negative 1 over I. So by substituting each values, we'll get the uh, increase of fund after the seventh deposit, which is 63,586 pesos and 30 centavos. Illustrative problem 10.8. Jocelyn established a fund by depositing equal regular deposits at the beginning of every 6 months. For 5 years, find the interest to be earned on the fourth deposit if the money is worth 9% compounded semi-annually sinking. The given values are the periodic deposit A, which is 46,725 pesos, periodic interest I, which is equals to the 4.5% periodic interest, number of periodic deposits made R, which is equals to 4, and increase of fund after the fourth deposit IR. So applying the formula, increase of fund after fourth deposit IR is equals to the periodic deposit A multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest I multiplied by the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest raised to the power of 4, which is the number of periodic deposits made, multiplied by the quantity 1 minus the quantity 1, plus the periodic interest raised to the power of negative 1 over the periodic interest minus the periodic deposit A. So by substituting each values, we'll get the value of the increase of fund after the fourth deposit, 8,995 pesos and 46 centavos. So this means on the fourth regular deposit, the fund will earn an interest of 8,995 pesos and 46 centavos. Next is we have the total cost of retiring a debt by sinking fund method. A debtor may settle his or her loan or debt in following ways. The first way is making a series of equal installment payments, both principal and interest, on regular interval until the loan is fully liquidated. Or the other way is settle the principal on maturity date while paying the interest every interest period. The first mode of discharging an obligation applies basically if the amount of loan is not large. This type of settling a loan is called amortization method. The second mode of settling a loan applies if the debt is large. In this case, the debtor pays the interest of the loan on the interest date and makes a regular deposit to the fund to accumulate the desired amount intended for the settlement of the obligation. This method of discharging an obligation is called the sinking fund method. Under the sinking fund method, the debtor is required to meet the following. First is to pay the interest of the loan on the given interest date, agreed with the creditor. Number two is make a periodic deposit to the fund. Illustrative problem 10.11. Annie borrowed 1,500,000 pesos from Premier Commercial Bank at 10% compounded quarterly, payable in 5 years. As agreed, she will regularly pay the interest every 3 months and will pay the full principal on the maturity date. Annie created a sinking fund by regularly depositing equal amount at the end of every quarter. The fund earns an interest of 8% compounded quarterly. Find the quarterly cost of her borrowing. To find the quarterly cost of her borrowing, we need to solve for the interest payment every quarter. So the given values are, first is the principal P, which is equals to 1,500,000 pesos. Interest rate R, which is equal to 10%, time T is equals to 3 months. So by substituting the values to the simple interest formula, which is interest, which is equals to principal multiplied by the rate times time, which gave us the value of the interest in total of 37,500 pesos. Here, we're going to find the periodic payment in which Annie has to pay quarterly. So the given values to compute for the size of the periodic deposits are: first is the compound amount or future value of an annuity C. So the given value here, as we can see, is 1.5 million pesos. Periodic interest rate I, which is equal to 2%. The total compounding period N is equals to 20, and the annuity or periodic payment A. To solve for the size of the periodic deposit, we'll use the given formula. So annuity or periodic payment A is equals to compound amount or the future value of an annuity C multiplied by the periodic interest over the quantity 1 plus the periodic interest I raised to the power of n, which is the total compounding period, then subtracted by quantity 1. So by substituting each given value, we'll get the annuity or the periodic payment A, which is equal to 61,235 pesos and 50 centavos. The total quarterly cost is equal to the sum of the interest paid and the amount of regular deposits to the fund as computed as follows. So we have here the formula for the total quarterly cost, which is equals to the interest plus the annuity or the periodic payment. So by substituting each value, which is the value of interest and the annuity periodic payment, interest has a value of 37,500 pesos, and annuity or the periodic payment is 61,735 pesos and 50 centavos. So by adding these two, we'll get the total quarterly cost, which is equal to 99,235 pesos and 50 centavos. So that is all for my report. Thank you for listening and have a good day.